And you are?
I'm Lisa Taylor.
And you're here with Psychic Medium Judy at her studio called Design Your Life Studio. And you have some particular unique skill sets that you use to help out people. Maybe you can give us a little bit of an idea as to what those would be.
Sure. I've been working with clients for about 10 years on the health and wellness side of things as a natural health consultant, where I'm using the tools of iridology, sclerology, and tongue assessment, which allows me to see what's going on inside the body as far as their health, their organ conditions, tissue conditions, things like that. And then providing them with nutritional advice, supplement advice, and also lifestyle changes or emotional work that they may need to do. Because when we look at health and well-being, it's not just your physical body, there's your emotional body as well as your mental body. So using those tools allows me to see where the body is stressed and where it needs to have some improvements done, whether it's through genetics or through their lifestyle. We can look at how to improve the overall health and well-being of a person.
I found it interesting you said something about the genetic. Are you talking about stuff that is happening that is as a result of their genetics and that you can see it and that here's the way to deal with that as per your genetic setup?
Yeah. So basically there's genetic markers that show up in the iris that can show if a person is predisposed, let's say, to heart disease. So I can see in the iris if there's a genetic marking, and then in the sclera, the white of the eye, I can see if it's an actual pathology right now. So sometimes it's in their genetics. That doesn't mean they're going to have the disease. However, we want to work on their health and their lifestyle and their nutrition to help prevent the genetics from coming into play.
Well, that's interesting. So it's not like someone has a complaint about something and they come to you to see what it is, that typically doctors are good at diagnosing. You can actually see a little bit further on than that because it's something that shows up in their either the sclera or the irises of the eye.
Yeah. And
then you can say, well, here's something down the road you might want to keep an eye out for.
That's right. And actually one of the ways of looking at this type of medicine is it's preventative. So sometimes I can see things going on within the body before the person actually has the symptoms. So what we're working at doing, as an example with diabetes, and again, I'm never diagnosing. It's always just recommendations or sending people to their doctor for testing. But if I see a lot of excess sugar in the body through the eye, I will talk about diabetes. Is it in their family? What is their lifestyle in regards to that? And then working from there to prevent the diabetes from actually happening. So if we can get ahead of the pathology, we can start to slow it down or even reverse it potentially.
And that's the best kind of, well, we can't call it medicine, but that's the best. It's like laughter is the good medicine. Prevention is the best medicine for anybody.
That's right.
If you have to wait if you have to wait for symptoms to show up, you're already in trouble. That's
right. It's already active, right? So when I'm looking and I can see that there is going to be issues in that area, we start to work on it right away. To prevent it or slow it down. And then there's the emotional body that has a lot of effect on the body as well. There's a lot of people that have physical pain. And sometimes that pain is from a physical source. They had an accident or something happened to them. And sometimes it is emotional. So that's where I use the bioenergy healing, which allows me to work on the chakra system of the body. So this is where, as things happen to ourselves in our lifetime, we'll either let them go and forgive them and let them be, or we hang on to them. And if we hang on to the things that have happened in our lifetime, even from when we're born, that can cause physical pain in the body, stress, anxiety, depression. So when I'm working with someone with bioenergy, I'm allowing their body to let go of the emotional stuff that they're hanging on to, which allows them to then sleep better, have more energy, have less stress, and that type of stuff.
So bioenergy, I've never had a bioenergy work. What in a brief sort of explanation, what is bioenergy? What do you do when you're doing bioenergy healing?
Yeah, so when I'm with a client, basically for about the first 20 minutes or so, they're standing up and I'm working around their whole body, opening up the chakra system, and then working at detoxing the chakras. And
is that again, using hands?
Using my hands, And this is just working around the body. I'm actually not physically touching it at this point. And then after a certain point, a person will sit down on a chair with their legs up on a stool, where I will then stimulate the energy above their head and flush through their whole body. So this is allowing, again, where our physical body is about 10% of us, and then we have this huge auric field outside of our physical body. And so I'm really working at flushing the energy of the body. And as we do that, we see the increase of energy and those types of things happening.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We have, as of this recording, we've already done a couple of videos with you already. We talked a little bit more about iridology, and that's online already.
Yes.
And we also did one just recently and you spent an hour and a half. It was an excellent hour and a half. And what was involved in that one? What was that specifically about? Was that one about, well, you know.
Yeah, it was on the effects of stress. So it's the way that stress affects our body. So we have physical stress where we run into something or hurt our arm or stub our toe. That's physical stress. Mental stress is where we have something where we're constantly monopolizing in our head and we're overthinking and over processing. And then we have our emotional stress. So the things that have happened in our life, a divorce or a death or even changing a job, things like that all affect our body. So basically the talk was about the effects of stress, how it affects your body. I actually did a little bit too how you can see it in the eye so that people could, look at each other and say, oh, okay, I can see this is how stress is showing up for you. And then also too what we can do to help our bodies to deal with stress. So you talked earlier about laughter is a great medicine. That was actually one of the things that was on our list of things that can help reduce stress is laughter, meditation, nutrition, exercise. And then at some point there may be supplements that are required depending on how stressed a person is.
Okay. So what would trigger a visit with you? What would be going through somebody's mind to say, oh, I have to give this gal a call because I am...
Yeah, so a lot of people that come to see me, they've been to their doctor already and been told that they're fine. Everything comes back normal, but they're still not feeling energy. They're still feeling whatever they're feeling. So they're looking for more insight to what's going on with their physical body. And then I have people that come to me that are just emotionally exhausted. They've been through hell and back. And they don't know how to cope. They're finding that they're having lots of stress and anxiety. And the lovely thing about the bioenergy work is that when somebody comes in for their session, I ask them, like, as far as pain, what's their number? And stress and anxiety, depression, sleep, and energy, and I get their numbers.
I'm sorry, are you talking about somebody new coming in, or are you talking about
every
anybody?
Time. Every time they come in, yeah. And the nice thing about it, especially with pain, is let's say that somebody comes in the other day, somebody came in, they were an 8 for their pain. They had middle of the back pain. And when I finished the energy session with them, they were at a 2.
Whoa.
So it's immediate. They can notice a difference. And then there's times where, one of my clients just recently had knee surgery. And so part of her recovery was me going to her in her home to actually do detoxing specifically on her knee from the trauma, but also to her intestines because of all the pain medications that she's on. They've slowed down her colon. So we had to stimulate the intestinal tract to allow that to move through. And in fact, the next day I got an email from her. She felt great. And she actually was able to go to the washroom. So like I said, the bioenergy is immediate. You notice it immediately.
Okay, so you'd be asking somebody if, let's say somebody was the first time they come to see you, what would they expect to be involved with when they came in to see you the first time?
For the bioenergy?
For whatever. I mean, wouldn't they... Let's say they don't really know. They say, well, look, I got this pain, or I'm not feeling energy, or I'm feeling sad for long periods of time, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you'd come in and then you'd ask them a bunch of questions and you'd sort of determine which route to go, or do they get to kind of pick which way they go?
Well, normally when someone books with me, they've initiated what they were coming to me for. Because again, some people are looking for insights to their physical health and other people are looking for emotional, letting go of emotional things. So pretty much that's determined ahead of time through them booking their session with me online or by calling the studio. But if in fact they come to me and after I've met with them for a few minutes to get a sense of what's going on for them, if they've booked in with me, let's say for iridology, and I feel like really what they need is bioenergy, it's the same price. It's the same amount of time. It takes between 45 minutes and an hour. And I will give them what they actually need the most.
Okay.
And then if they wanted to come back and do the other session, they could certainly do that.
All right. That sounds really, really good. So that they don't necessarily have to call you up and say, well, I want to do this when they're maybe not sure. After they have some experience with you, then they can maybe determine, well, I like that. Let's do that again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But otherwise, you can kind of suss out what it is they need. And then if that is what's needed, then you can take them down that path.
Yeah. And it's also to the consideration of if somebody's coming to me for iridology, they are going to have to do all the work. So when they go home, they're going to have to eat a certain way. They're going to have to take certain supplements and do certain lifestyle things. So it's going to take them 2-3 weeks to really feel a difference because it takes consistency. So if somebody's wanting immediate results, the bioenergy is a better way to go because they will notice immediate results right away. So if they're having problems with sleeping, because I do a lot of clearing at the brow, like on the head, they can get into a deeper sleep because their mind is not so busy anymore. So it would kind of depend on how quickly they want to feel the results. And a lot of people want to feel things right now. However, the iridology is great for people who are actually looking at making like long-term changes to their lifestyle.
And that goes to that preventative sort of type of thing.
Exactly.
Anyway, so it's an all-round type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very excellent.
Thank you.
I think people should give you a call. Don't you?
Yes. That would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.